Hey, Lulu. And apparently only you so far. People slow to come in tonight. How do I do them? Yeah. I did my groceries. I did my goshies. Had a shower. That's pretty much it. Jenna! Hey, Craig. Thanks, Jenna. Didn't you have a birthday recently, Jenna? I mean, you always have birthdays, but didn't you have an actual birthday recently? How did I spend my birthday? I went to my mom's. It's not my birthday. It was Tuesday was my birthday, Lulu. February 1st, that's right. And I did wish you a happy birthday at that time. But yeah, for how I spent my birthday, I went to my mom's. We had roast beef. While we're on the topic of food, get myself something to drink. Really wanted to catch you live last night. Yeah. Tired, got me? Yeah. I hear that, Jenna. Eternal exhaustion. That's pretty much how I live my life, frankly. Hi, Joel. Did I not? Shit, I did. Hi, I'm sorry, Joel. I did forget to say hi to you. I thought I said hi to you, but I think it was Craig I said hi to. Hi, Hi, Joel. Anemic and taking B12 shots. Shit, that's what I forgot. I was gonna pick up some vitamins today. Oh well. Anemic, depressed. Yep. Hey, Rebecca. I got money. Hey, Vanna. I got money for my birthday. I never ended up asking for anything, so I just got money. Your notif is late. Well, I heard about it. I did not watch it. Pieces gang? Do you mean Pisces? Because we're not Pisces, we're Aquarian. Aquarius. Yeah, why the hell would I watch... Why would I watch Tucker Carlson in general, frankly? Especially him interviewing Putin. Most common star sign in mental asylums? I suppose that tracks, I suppose. Misunderstood. AKA we are borked in the brains. Hey, Pika. No serial killers are Aquariuses? Huh. I was unaware of that. That's kind of interesting. You guys are never boring? My birthday was the 6th, Rebecca. February 6th. I don't know about birthday twins, but apparently Jack Kirby died on February 6th. '94, I think? I think he died February 6th, 1994. So that's what time was I born? I think it was like 7 o'clock. 7 in the I think it was like 7 in the evening, I believe. Same birthday as Bob Marley. Cool, I guess. Reagan? Fuck Ronald Reagan. Same day as Harry Styles. Neat, I guess. Did I make that my personality? Fair. A lot of people make Harry Styles. There's a lot of people who make Harry Styles their personality. Just like Ronald Reagan. I will fucking block you, Rebecca. Born the same day as Lindsay Lohan. Cool, cool. Hey, color purple. Harry Cooch is my personality. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really care about I don't really care about any of the celebrities I share a birthday with, but the fact that my birthday is Jack Kirby's anniversary of Jack Kirby's death, that's notable. The King. Yep. Jack King Kirby. Mike Who Cheese Harry. Yes, Jen. February 6th, my birthday. Who's Jack Kirby? The king of comics. Jack Kirby is the guy who basically invented Marvel. Co-creator of Fantastic Four, Captain America, the X-Men, um, the Avengers, Thor. Black Panther. Over at DC, he created Darkseid. Hey, Jordan. My ex and boss are both Aquariuses, and they are both serial killers. Well, so much for Jenna's claim that no Aquariuses are serial killers. Anyway, yeah. Jack Kirby, he was a comic book artist. And writer. Yes, I am boycotting McDonald's. Yeah, he was a best known as an artist, but he was also a writer, and just basically like he's called the king for a reason. Like he's like she is a fries. Chantel's zodiac sign is fries. But yeah, I mean, he was like the most. I mean, it's not even. It's not even close. Jack Kirby was the most influential person in, like, the most influential artist in comic book history. Or at least like the most influential artist in superhero comics, bar none, not even close, absolutely not a competition. The single most important artist in comic and superhero comics ever, and like one of the absolute most important comic book creators of all time. Hey, comic book. Get a little fry tattoo. That tattoo of hers is amusing. We're all Aquariuses here. Alright. $15. I figure it's a good time to get playing. The next day, Kiana led her geese to pasture as she did every morning. Sitting in the emerald green ocean, splattered with the rustling of the blades of grass flying in the wind, she felt at peace. It was probably the most peaceful part of her long day, the most pleasant one. She just had to watch the horizon under the tepid rays of the rising sun. Once again, her thoughts took a walk in the fields. The breeze that was caressing the hill reminded her of the sound of the waves, reminded her of that day. A hallucination abruptly tainted her field of vision. A face distorted by tears, distorted by hostility. Not AI. I mean, isn't that what an AI would say, though, Jenna? Liar! Kiana shuddered. Even if she appreciated the brief moment of quietness granted to her every morning, she had to admit that she never truly had peace of mind. Ice skating and ate a good dinner. Cool, cool. The country air continuously reminded her of Fleur, and with her, that fateful day when everything had changed. Why? Why does this image haunt me so much? And why did she do that? Will I ever find the answer? As the princess was sighing with a bitter look, another flash came to her mind. A vision of the same day, the same face, the few seconds that had led up to her fall into the river. This time, the young farmer was disfigured by grief and guilt. She was painfully articulating in a husky breath. I'm so sorry, Kiana. The heiress shuddered again, shocked. She had perceived those few seconds, but she had not been able to extract their meaning, for she had been thrown into the water at that very moment. Had a hot dog for breakfast on your birthday? Cool, cool. Fleur, she did not want to harm me? Did she see no other possibility than sacrificing me to survive? She was that desperate. Kiana looked up towards the sky, frozen in a contemplative posture. Fleur, I still do not understand what pushed you into acting that way. But I believe I can start forgiving you now. Regardless of what the young Moor's inclinations may be, she could not allow herself to let them influence her future. She had to focus on her goal, and her goal only. In theory, at least. Her mind was clouded by all sorts of hopes and worries. It was almost impossible for her to get rid of them. If she managed to get Fleur out of her mind, Nahima would take her place. I wish I could know what has become of Nahima. She must be wasting away alone in my father's gloomy and bleak castle. I hope I will be able to send her a letter soon to tell her that I am fine. That sorrowful southern accent, I know. It was already time to bring back the geese. Thus the princess got back on her feet and dusted herself. As soon as Griselda will have agreed to marry me, I will ask her to come by my side. Hold on, Nahima. We are almost there. Once the gaggle had been brought back inside the castle and her noon snack had been gobbled. Gobbled. I don't like her wearing the donkey. More like Don Quixote. The princess set off in order to carry out the task she had committed to do the night before, during the servants' gathering. Indeed, she had chosen... Do a better accent. I'm not good at accents. I mean, I kind of want to keep doing this one because it is all related to Nahima, but I suppose I should try the other ones. I'll do the kitchen. Hey, tourist. Thanks. The heiress had decided to lend a helping hand in the kitchen. She had heard Bertha say that she needed an assistant, and had considered that it was a good opportunity to repay her debt. To Kiana, it was a token of goodwill, her way to show Bertha that she had been right to employ her. Furthermore, considering what little experience she had had a few days earlier, It could not hurt her to make progress in such a useful area. She had always enjoyed learning, and it would have been a shame to give a new discipline up so quickly without even knowing what she was worth. Besides, it was almost a personal challenge, a godsend to prove to herself that she was capable of anything, as long as she was showing tenacity. At least, that was what she was thinking, as she was timidly pushing the kitchen door open. The head chef noticed her straight away. Well, furry little animal, what are you doing here? Wish I could do a British accent. Well, furry little animal. Oh, and haven't had tequila yet. Haven't had dinner yet. Only tequila. But I put money in my 401k today. Yay! Good job, Jenna. Well, furry little animal, what are you doing here? My understanding was that there was a need for a commis chef to prepare the Lord's meal, and I would like to offer my services. Bertha seemed pleasantly surprised and flashed a satisfied grin. Numbers and liquor. That's very kind of you. For that matter, you couldn't have come at a better time. I didn't ask you last time, but do you have some knowledge of cooking? I have already made cheese. The good woman placed her hands on her hips and burst into a hearty laughter that destabilized the princess. She, who had thought this experience would prove useful, pouted upon realizing that she was made fun of. That's better than nothing, eh? But during the great honor of cooking for Prince Griselda, you will have to show me your determination first, alright? Got excited by 4.7% interest in a savings account the other day. I don't even know what the interest rate is in my savings account. Looks like a woman that knows her way around a beefsteak. Indeed. Yeah, just thinking, so 4.75% interest rate. So that means for every $1,000 you have in your savings account, you're getting less than $50 a year in less than $50 in interest. And that's annually, right? That works out to what? $4 a month? Interest rates in the housing market are going down this spring. Time to start looking. That's the thing that kind of bugs me about interest rates, is it's you're making $4 a month. Because it's an annual interest rate, right? So 4.75% annual interest rate. If it was monthly, then yeah, $50 a month. Yeah, that's, $50 a month. Sure, that's something. But $50 a year is fucking insulting at that point. For every $1,000 you're making $50 a year. You're making $4 a year for every $1,000 you've got. If you've got $10,000 in there, then whoopee, you're making. That's you need $10,000 before you make $40 a month off of it. How many people can afford to have $10,000 in their savings account at any given time? And so what is that? It is a Pop Shop bubblegum flavor. Finance broke today. Fair enough. Grows like a chode bow. Yeah. Exactly. Does illustrate how you need money to make money? Yeah. Kiana is a crazy name. Hey, Newman. Bolstered. Kiana frowned and acquiesced with pride. Yes, madam. Because the glasses. Good at finance because the glasses. That's true, Vanna. We did look at dresses last night. Yeah, Vanna and Jenna, you two missed us looking at dresses last night. We were looking at pretty dresses. I didn't buy anything, because I don't know my size. But we looked at some pretty glasses, or pretty dresses. Well, I'll teach you everything I know. Today you'll have to make a relatively easy dish. A Parmesan crust soup. Open up your ears and clean out your eyes. Just as she previously did, the young woman had to clean and peel the vegetables which were used in a pearl broth she left to simmer. Can we look at dresses again? No. And shoes? Yeah, we did look briefly at shoes, not very long. And I decided I don't like Mary Janes. Mary Janes are just not a shoe style that I like. I know they're a popular shoe. Yeah, I know they're a popular style. Are we going to try again in the future? I'm sure we will. I know Mary Janes are a very popular style of shoe. I don't like them. How do you know how much time it is going to take? Well, I've learned all my recipes by heart. No book shall be found here. The knowledge exists in my head. Really? So you never make any mistakes? Of course I do. It happens from time to time. But the essential is still here. And then I use an hourglass to keep an eye on the passing of time. For a broth like this one, 2 turns should be enough. The most difficult part is to keep the heat constant. You have to adjust the flames depending on the meals and regularly monitor them to avoid burning the food. Doc Martens. I've never looked at Doc Martens. I don't even know what Doc Martens look like. I guess they're okay. Sure, I mean, they're fine. A blackish residue. Oh. I have multiple pairs of high heels I've worn once and can't wear again because falling. Fair. The heels are fine, the trauma ain't. Fair. I like ankle boots, I do. Ankle boots and knee-high boots. Or like, calf-high boots, I guess. Nothing's worse than having a blackish residue on the bottom of a cooking pot. I see. And why did we begin with this part of the recipe and not another one? When there are several elements, it's more practical to start with the one that has the longest preparation time. Thus, we'll have plenty of time to get our crusts ready while the broth is boiling. What color dress did I prefer? I don't know. Thigh-high boots? Do you mean thigh-high boots? Eh. Demonias? I don't even know what the hell those are. They now had to move on to the next step. Bertha grabbed some bread, flour, and eggs, then started to shape a dough. Kiana obediently imitated her on all counts. Still, your gestures are so precise. My balls of dough look shapeless compared to yours. That's normal, you're just starting. Back when I started cooking, I was saying the same thing to my master. Knee-high with buckles. Yeah. So you have had a master? Naturally. Everything I know I have learned from someone. I wonder what this person could look like. Oh, my master was a capricious old man who didn't hesitate to scold me at the slightest mistake. He was very severe, but still good at heart. He just didn't dare to show it. The broth being ready, the two women moved on to the next step. Kiana seized a container and spread a lace of dough around it. She poured the broth with grated Parmesan cheese inside and set to make her preparation reel under the rigorous eye of Bertha. Just spin in my chair? Not really. I'm too close to the wall. I'm too close to the wall to be able to spin effectively. A headphone cord. Minutes later, the Parmesan crust soup was ready and emitted a delicious smell. The cook examined it before handing down her verdict. Well, there are still imperfections to correct, but it's not bad, Donkey Skin. You're doing pretty well. Thank you very much. Does it mean that the prince is going to eat my soup? Absolutely. I wonder what his thoughts will be. I don't want to give you false hopes, girl, but there's little chance that he's going to see a difference. Unless you've prepared the best soup in the world, he's not going to bother inquiring to know who cooked for him. Hey, Mimi. The Drake video? Yeah, I heard something about it, something being leaked. I don't really care. Disappointment quickly gave way to joy again. Deep down, the young woman was especially proud of her achievement, and could not help puffing out her chest. How much more gratifying it is to make a dish yourself than simply attending its preparation. Hey, that's the spirit. Keep it up, you can only improve. What happened with Drake? Something got leaked. Leaked nudes. I think it's, Pal World? Fuck no. Didn't Pal World use like a lot of AI generated assets? Like video of rubbing one, which yeah. I've heard literally nothing about Pal World that makes it at all appealing, and I've heard a lot about it that makes it really unappealing. Even setting aside the fact that it's just not really my kind of game. I could have sworn there was a controversy that they used algorithmically generated assets. Okay. So they haven't actually... People who claimed it as AI were lying? I mean, honestly, from what I can gather... the developers haven't actually outright denied it. Huh? Um, da, 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 da. So go see people frothing at the mouth, hoping a huge company like Nintendo sees this small group of people. I mean, they did kind of rip off Pokemon. Like, a lot of it, like, there was definitely plagiarism going on. But yeah, the developer's CEO supports using AI in games. And the company's done it in the past. And it doesn't seem like they've outright... You know, like, if they didn't use any AI assets... So I remain concerned. You know? Like, I remain concerned about, like, just in general, I remain concerned about their CEO's support of AI in games. Also, side note, I would disagree with Nintendo being a soulless corporation. Nintendo's huge. Like, Nintendo's a big company. Absolutely. But one of the things that it has been consistently praised for is how they treat their workers. Nintendo actually does have a phenomenal reputation in like, for example, like, you know, like, they give their developers time to finish the games. Most of the time, they will give their developers the time they need to finish a game. If a game, you know, if they need another year, yeah, okay, we'll delay it a year. Crunch still happens, which is shitty. That's the industry as a whole. Just refuses to get past crunch. Nintendo still has its issues, but like, they don't lay people off if they can avoid it. I forget which game it was, but Nintendo was going through kind of a just a little bit of a rougher patch, and any other company, any other developer would have just laid off a bunch of people. Instead, Nintendo's like, no, we're keeping these people. These people are doing something that they, like, these people know what they're doing, and if we want to put out a good product, having them scared of being the next to be fired is not going to help. And so, like, Nintendo has gotten regular praise for the fact that it doesn't just... for not firing up a lot of people, the way so many other companies do. They give their developers the time they need, and they're willing to they're willing to suck up the costs to keep the employees employed, to keep their people employed. Like, there's way too many developers who will just lay off a third of their workforce. While Nintendo will be like, no, we don't want people worried about the future. It'll cost us a little bit of money in the short term to keep these people here, but cultural thing? No, I mean, it's there's a lot of shitty developers, and Nintendo has done some shitty things, but I disagree with the idea of Nintendo being soulless. They care about putting out good games. Like, they do genuinely care about putting out good games, and they know that having their employees reasonably happy is going to go a long way to that. Or if not happy, at least not scared. And, like, giving them the time they need is going to do a lot to ensure that the game is good. So, well, I mean, I didn't say anything about, like, to be fair, it's not about stealing ideas like Monster Hunting. Monster Hunting, whatever. They engage in actual plagiarism, Newman. They copied some of the Pokemon pretty fucking closely. There's a few of the creatures in there, they really didn't put much effort into changing it. Plagiarism is shitty. And hey, guess what? The Pokemon, those were created by developers. Those were created by artists. So it's the artists who've worked for Pokemon who are getting their ideas stolen. And I mean, just beyond that, it's like, I'm not saying Nintendo should sue or anything like that, but I'm just saying if they didn't use. I'm just saying if they didn't use any AI content at all, like AI generated assets at all, they should probably say no. We did not use AI generated assets at all for this game. Yeah, if they did not include any algorithmically generated assets, they should come in and say, we did not use any algorithmically generated assets. Every single asset was created specifically by an in-house artist. It'd also be pretty great if the CEO said we will not use algorithmically generated artists in general. But the CEO of that design, the CEO of that company has basically said that he supports that shit. So that's also concerning. All that having been said, Pal World's not my kind of game, so I just don't give a shit about it one way or the other. I could not care less what happens with that game because it is not a game that I have the least bit interested in. Anyway. Keep it up, you can only improve. I fully intend to. With this, go away before I start monopolizing the limited amount of free time you have for yourself. Electrified, Kiana waved Bertha goodbye and headed for the common room. Alright, so what should we do? Kitchen, hallway, or common room? I suppose go for the common room since that's where they want us to go. I don't fucking care, Newman. I don't fucking give a shit about fucking Pal World. It's a fucking... It's a fucking knockoff of a game I never fucking cared about. I never enjoyed fucking... I never gave a shit about Pokemon either. Pokemon's a franchise that I have never given a shit about. I'm supposed to care about some fucking... about some shitty-ass knockoff of a game I don't fucking care about? I don't give a shit what happens to fucking Pal World. Shut the fuck up. Like, fuck off. I don't fucking care about that whole controversy. Get the fuck over yourself. Like, honestly, shut the fuck up about it. I don't fucking care at all. It's all irrelevant to me. Like, and I'm ready to move the fuck on from it, Newman. Like, just that topic is over and done with. It's over. I don't fucking care. It is completely irrelevant to me. A game I don't care about that is a knockoff of a game I don't fucking care about. Like, it's two fucking things I don't care. Fucking like, go the fuck away. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, lay the fuck off. Go away for 10 minutes. I'm fucking done talking about this shit. Like, when I tell you that I'm done, that I don't fucking want to talk about it, shut the fuck up and move the fuck on. Let the conversation be fucking done and over with, Christ. Worn out by all the hard work she had accomplished that day. Oh, and by the way, yeah, when you use terms like spurt, yeah, fuck you for using a term like spurred. That is a very ableist term, by the way. That is a term that is used specifically to mock the neurodivergent. And it is a shitty word to use. Worn out by all the hard work she had accomplished that day, Kiana decided to be reasonable and rest in her bedroom while waiting for dinner. Lying down on her straw mattress was like a liberation. Her back that had made her suffer so much since the second half of the afternoon suddenly seemed relieved, and she chose to stay in that position to regain some strength. Still breathless after having climbed the stairs, the young woman put a shaky hand on her aching head. Since she had nothing to do until mealtime, she gazed at the ceiling of her attic room and released her chained thoughts. As she was analyzing this ordinary room down to the very last detail, Kiana felt a familiar likeness. It reminds me of Princess Rosette's story. Despite her noble lineage, she is sent to the countryside to live with a nurse and is only allowed to come back for her sister's birthday. But her unkind parents pay no attention to her and make her sleep in the attic. This could be me. Gustave Dora is Sleeping Beauty. History of Princess Rosette is part of the old French fairy tales by the Countess of Ségur. The eponymous heroine, not to be confused with Madame d'Aulnoy, is a princess sent to a farm by her parents shortly after her birth, because her two eldest sisters, Orangine and Rosette, are jealous that she has a fairy godmother. They do not concern themselves with her until her 15th birthday, when she is invited to attend great festivities in honor of her sisters. Lady voice needs some work? I know. Although she is delighted to finally be able to meet her family, Rosette is neglected once she arrives and lodged in the attic, where still she draws the attention of all the guests, including King Charming, because of her kindness and the magnificent clothes given to her by the fairy, which drives the royal family absolutely furious. Their hatred is such that they decide to get rid of her during the festivities. Yeah, I do need to work on my lady voice. But the fairy Puissant is watching over her protégé and helps her avoid the traps in her way. Rosette even keeps getting closer to King Charming, who only has eyes for her and ends up proposing to her. What the princess does not know is that her godmother, while orchestrating her happiness, has doomed the royal family to eternal torment to make them pay for their murder attempt. Fairies are truly dangerous creatures. Well, Jesus, that escalated quickly! Man. Hey, Habibi. A classic example of, well, that escalated quickly. While orchestrating her happiness, has doomed the royal family to eternal torment. From fairly conventional, family wants to kill her and the fairy keeps her safe, fairly standard and conventional, up until, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, the fairy's sending the family to hell. A dreamy smile lit up her face. I know. Let us rewrite the story. I am Princess Rosette, unfairly banned from the castle, and I am lodged in a tiny little room for the duration of the festivities. Fortunately, my godmother, the fairy Puissant, has planned everything, and, thanks to her magic spells, I will go to the ball dressed like a shiny star. My sisters will be insanely jealous to see me so pretty, to see me so amiable. I have everything they will never have. I will talk with so much grace and kindness The King Charming will not let me out of his sight all night. Kiana exulted in the solitude of her room. Standing on business all 2024. This is how I wish my first meeting with Griselda would unfold. He is in the anonymous crowd, gallantly rejecting some courtesans. Everyone is talking and laughing loudly. When suddenly I enter the room and everything comes to a halt. Aristocrats are dazzled by the sumptuousness of my adornment. They are admiring me, and I can finally shine. As for Griselda, he only sees me. Just like Charming, he protects me in the face of all opposition. He wants to connect his life with mine. See you tomorrow, fair prince. Or should I say, see you forever. Cute. That's actually kind of cute. I'll be honest, I found that cute. In the ideal world she had built for herself, everything was made to please her. She was the center of the universe, the star around which the other characters revolved. They had no motivation of their own, no utility except serving the story she had created to her glory. The retainers were no longer human beings, but simply secondary characters, mere auxiliaries. Kiana was the heroine, and the present was distorting itself to make her happy. The present that was occurring inside her head, at the very least. In the far less pleasant reality of this simple attic, the young woman was watching time go by while daydreaming. Lost in her thoughts, the princess forgot her misfortunes for a moment, and that was all that mattered. The next day, Kiana went to pasture with her poultry, as she did every morning. And as she did every morning, she settled down under a tree to watch the geese, while letting her imagination run free. That day, her mind turned to the fairy Medea. I wonder if my godmother is watching over me as I speak. If only she were here, I could ask her to spy on the prince and report all his comings and goings. I'll be honest, I don't know what standing on business actually means. I should probably have ordered her to give me a magic mirror when I had the chance. The princess shrugged. It may be better that way. After all, I do not know if the fairies that the fairy grants are limited or not. What if there were only 3, as genies do? It would be quite careless of me to waste them. Another thing I should ask her the next time I see her. Despite everything, Kiana had to admit that she was dying to observe her lover. It had been several days since she had arrived at the castle, and had been performing the work of a scullery maid, with the sole aim of seducing him. Yet she had barely been able to catch a glimpse of him since then. Keeping and girl bossing? Her efforts were certainly not rewarded as highly as she had expected. Patience, girl, patience. An opportunity will eventually arise. Satisfied, the princess stood up and brought back the animals, filled with determination. Standing her ground? Once she had gobbled her noon snack, the princess set off in order to carry out the task she had committed to do the night before, during the servants' gathering. Indeed, she had chosen... I don't really want to do the hallway, the cleaning stuff. Go back to laundry. The heiress had decided to take care of the laundry again, but not without some apprehension. The trying experience she had had with the laundry women inevitably made her quite wary. Thus it was with caution that Kiana followed the retainers to retrieve the linen she had to wash. The gossipers seemed to be politely keeping their distance, which did not displease her. As soon as she had settled in the courtyard with the sheets she was supposed to rub, she noticed that the young girl she had sympathized with the other day was coming towards her, followed by the 2 insolent washerwomen. Not knowing what to expect, she bit her lips and stared at them. Hello, Donkey Skin. May I sit next to you? Go ahead. By the way, my name is Odette. Since we're stuck doing laundry together again, we should help each other. Isn't that right, girls? Yes, of course. They don't look happy about it. Quit playing shy. What did I tell you earlier? The girl named Odette furrowed her brow and bluntly elbowed one of her comrades. The girl awkwardly moved forward and stuttered. My name is Justine, and, sorry for what happened last time. She glared at her friend, who followed on her heels. I'm Beranger. Excuse our rudeness. We went too far and did not mean to hurt you. See, it wasn't that hard. Kiana was astounded by those admissions, but quickly got a grip on herself. None of the laundry women seemed to wish her harm. What a relief. Soothed, she offered them a big smile. Your apology is accepted. I will gladly join you. Once the unease had been dismissed, the four girls set to work while chatting about this and that. Justine and Beranger was especially fond of gossips, and they did not hesitate to share those in abundance. The princess was, of course, no stranger to this kind of custom, but she was not used to hearing stories about common people. It did not take long for her to understand that the nature of rumors was exactly the same, no matter the social class. After a certain amount of time, the conversation happened to drift to none other than Prince Griselda himself. There's no doubt about it. Our monarch is quite good looking. I wouldn't mind if he were to make me his mistress. You would discard your honor? Well, I'm just trying to stay virtuous, but such a temptation is criminal. If it's for him, I'm willing to sin once in my life. I have to admit that it's difficult to say no to eyes like his. Incidentally, I've heard that the prince frequently indulges in carnal pleasure. Someone told me that Griselda would sometimes go to talk to some servants in private and offer them a few gold coins in exchange for a night with him. Kiana's jaw dropped under the shock. Really? I cannot believe that such a distinguished man could commit this disgraceful act. In any case, that's what I've been told. That's funny, because I've collected a completely different testimony. Someone recently assured me that the prince is not yet married because he's having shameful relations with some men. Kiana opened her eyes so wide that they appeared the size of saucers. The prince is also a hoe. And that's fine. That's fine. We do not slut shame here. We elevate sluts here. We celebrate sluts. We slutabrate. Let that freak flag fly. I was one of your first mods. Right? Exactly my point, Jenna. Slutabration. Hey, Scriptgoat. You were one of my first mods, Jenna. Proof that we celebrate our sluts. Why is Kiana a surprised anime girl? Because Odette just implied that the prince... Celebrate good times. Come on. Because Odette here just claimed that the prince is banging dudes. Grizel would prefer men? No, I cannot believe such a thing. To be honest, I have to agree with Donkey Skin. Our monarch seems to regularly smile at the young women who manage to catch his eye. Surely he doesn't feel indifferent about feminine charms. Grizel having sexual relationships with one of his squires? The image is pleasant, but it would shatter my sweet dream. I do like that Justine is like, no, it's hot. Guy on guy is hot. I'm into that, but... Justine is all about that yaoi. 1 second. If Justine were born a couple centuries later, she would have been a yaoi fangirl. Living, laughing, and loving in this piping hot Prince tea. It's fine, Newman. Oh damn, Odette getting dirty. Not that they're susceptible to the charms of both sexes. Imagine if he were to offer you to spend a night with him and another attractive young man. A night with 2 attractive young men? May God hold me back, I'm going to commit a terrible sin. Justine, Jesus, take the wheel, because I'm getting double teamed in the back. You shouldn't feed her imagination like that, Odette. Sorry, I can't help teasing her. You're passing me off as a sinner. You got to at least admit that it's hard to refuse such an invitation. Surprised anime face is really startling. It is, kinda, but it's funny. If Grizel gets married, I'm willing to spend a night with the new queen and him. Oh damn, Odette, like... Odette turning out bi. Good on her. Odette like, Odette just in there like, oh, by the way, I'm freakier than both of you, bitch. I'm freakier than any of you bitches. Careful, Justine. Your perverted mind is contaminating us all. The lingerie women bursted into laughter, a laughter the heiress gladly shared. If the crazy rumors around her suitor inspired doubt in her, the lack of concrete evidence reassured her in her aspirations. She also had to recognize that sharing her admiration for the prince with other servants was doing her a world of good. She was integrated in the group, and could openly talk about the man she loved. She did not need more than that. Plus, now she knows that if she does manage to get the prince, Odette's down. Odette's DTF. Naturally, Kiana's pleasure to talk with girls her age made the laundry's cleaning take longer than expected. The sun was already setting, but she did not care. Carrying her basket, the young Moor joyfully waved her comrades goodbye, just as she was leaving. The laundry women answered in unison. "See you soon, Donkey Skin!" Her heart pounding in her chest, she returned to the common room. I just got a complete no storyline achievement. So I think that I would have needed to have done the laundry all 3 times to... I can do the hallway or the kitchen. What are we thinking? Kitchen or hallway? Kitchen or hallway? Wish the donkey showed its teeth. Yeah, it's the fluttering around achievement. Complete no storyline. Gonna 100% this? Nah, I mean, I'm gonna complete the game. I'm gonna do as much of, I'm gonna complete as much as I can in a single playthrough. But, I'm not gonna do multiple playthroughs to finish up all the achievements or anything like that. Just doing one playthrough. I've probably already missed out on, achievements by now. And, Alright, so yeah, hallway then. Resolved to take her mind off things, the young woman wandered through stone corridors that were similar in all aspects to the ones of her own dwelling. Indeed, it almost looks like it's the exact same castle, just, almost like they used the same background. Almost like they're just recycling the background. Torn by a hint of nostalgia, she clambered over one of the ledges and leaned against a pillar to admire the blazing sky, the so peaceful landscape. Save the princess? Save the princess or don't save the princess? Because I know there was one where, the goal is to kill the princess. Which, I read a little about. I don't think I'll be playing that one, though it does seem pretty neat and interesting. Save the princess. I don't know that I've ever even looked up Save the Princess. Slay the Princess. That's it. Slay the Princess. I've read up on that one. And honestly, it's a cool concept. It does seem really cool. I don't think I'll be playing it. I've got a few other things that I do want to play first. But it seems neat. There's a Let's Player I do sometimes watch, Wellens. She played Slay the Princess. I didn't watch her Let's Play of it, but I know she did do a Let's Play of Slay the Princess. She has also been doing a Let's Play lately of Thirsty Suitors. So I've been watching her Let's Play of Thirsty Suitors. Which is, like, really fun. But yeah, Slay the Princess looks great. I don't think I'll be playing it, though. As nothing lasts forever, Echo soon came to disrupt her tranquility. Intrigued, Kiana had her head out of the column to inspect her surroundings. The voices belonged to two servants who were posted down the hallway. They were visibly having a conversation and paid no attention to her presence. Since the stone vault amplified sound, she could not help listening to them despite herself, and instinctively kept a low profile so that they would not notice her. So you're telling me that the nun came directly in the castle's courtyard to sell goods? What did she look like? Phoenix? No, never played any of the Phoenix Wright games. You've got me stumped. All nuns dressed the same, and not a single lock of hair stuck out of her headdress. I could barely glimpse her face. I wouldn't be able to recognize her even if you were to introduce her to me. Did she seem rather old? Rather young? Rather young, I think. I'd bet my life on the fact that it was Madeline. Poor girl, she saddens me. What happened to her? Nobody told you. She's from the church on the other side of the forest. You can see her from time to time. It has to be said that her story is quite heartbreaking. Please tell me. A few years ago, the church was comprised of many nuns and thrived. One day, a sick traveler knocked on their door. He was of course taken in, and the sisters did all they could to cure him, in vain. Unfortunately, this stranger carried the plague. Not the plague. Rapidly, all those who had approached him found themselves infected, and they died one after the other. How dreadful! The plague took them all, every single one of them, save for Madeline. She is without a doubt protected by God's will. What's even more tragic is that she had to bury the horribly mutilated bodies of the nuns. She had survived, but at what cost? She now lives completely alone. It is said that the church is cursed. People no longer dare to come near it. She must be in an incredibly precarious situation then. Too right. I really wonder what's going to become of her. When I catch sight of her in town, I feel as if I was reassured. It means that she's still alive and well. And yet, I have no illusion as to her future. Unless a miracle happens, she's not going to hold for much longer. Shumbo Squishmallow? Probably not. Let's try to stay optimistic for her sake. A new traveler might one day come to take shelter in the church, and eventually decide to stay to keep her company. Sometimes it doesn't take that much to turn a desperate situation around. You must be right. If Madeline is truly protected by God, she will overcome this ordeal. Servant 1 kinda cute. I mean, they're both pretty cute. While the two servants were walking away, Kiana took the opportunity to come out of hiding and slipped away in the opposite direction. Bertha had been right. Going for a walk in the hallways did allow her to obtain interesting information. The solitary nun's tragic story had moved the young woman, and she empathized a lot with her experience. Perhaps there were lessons to be learned from this? God sometimes likes to create misfortunes on a mortal's path to test them. Only an unshakable faith can prevail over darkness and expose true virtue. All that shit that he put Job through. princess was now convinced that she too was being put to the test by God. I must not waver. Never again. Kiana was only just getting accustomed to her new environment when the great tournament organized by Griselda started. Heralds appeared in the entire city to announce the event, and, in the preceding days, knights from all over the country would steadily flood in. Servants were bustling about 100 times more than usual so that everything would be ready in time. Bertha even more so than anyone else, and the kitchens would not empty. In the midst of this mess, the princess fully understood why she had been hired. There was so much to do that she no longer had time to rest. Ooh, very fancy image here. Some of the citizens contributed to the effort as, among other things, grandstands had to be erected in the field to accommodate the nobles who were seeking entertainment. To her great relief, the young Moor was allowed to attend the tournament, although it was among the people and not in the grandstands. The tournament was the most appreciated event of the region, and all the residents had rushed to the fields to catch sight of the various trials knights were engaging in. The knights were proudly parading to the sound of the trumpets, eager to fight. Some were wearing a scarf or a veil that had been given to them by a lady, and, for a moment, Kiana wondered if her lover was going to participate for the sake of another woman. However, her fears were quickly dispersed, for none other than Lord Griselda appeared, wearing a shining armor. As soon as he had stepped forward, the signal was given, and the trials came one after another, trials during which the beloved prince distinguished himself. There was no joust during which he did not fiercely strike his opponent, during which he did not make them yield, during which he did not spill blood. Feel sorry for this dude here. Oh, my Charlie horse! Charlie horse! Charlie! I got a Charlie horse! Like a lion rushing to his prey, he swooped down without expressing any mercy, zealously returning every blow he received. More than once he challenged his foe, humiliated them even, but his arrogance was quite unlike his talent for combat. The princess was trembling at the thought that he could be killed, as it was unfortunately common during jousts to be the witness of rather bloody outcomes. Dead and wounded casualties there were. Shields were shattering into pieces. Spears were piercing through helmets. Crimson jets were spurting towards the audience, to everyone's exclamation. Yet Prince Griselda emerged victorious each and every time. Tournaments such as this one turned out to be the perfect pastime for glory-seeking nobles like himself. Yep. The Lord was becoming so bored in his castle that he only found refuge in violence. Whether it was hunting or jousting, it did not matter to him as long as he could find his slaughter adrenaline, the ecstasy provided by delivering the fatal blow. Human beings or animals, he only cared for being the best and being cheered by the crowd. His bellicosity made him the most formidable knight that day. Griselda was cutting to shreds all those who had dared to face him, and the crowd was clapping. Lost in the middle of those applauses, Kiana felt her heart pounding. She found her lover so brave, so valiant, that she became all the more determined to marry him. He sounds to me like a psycho asshole, frankly. That night, in her attic room, the young woman could not sleep. Thrilled by this emotionally charged day, she was dreaming wide awake of Prince Griselda, imagining how they would be together. He was so handsome, so good-looking, that she was considering her wedding to be a love match, a miracle at that time. Her daydreams, inspired by courtly literature, made her see a man more than willing to worship her. World of Horror? I would not play it. He was wealthy, owned a sumptuous castle, and very good cooks. And he was heroic. She was already imagining a similar tournament, where she would take her place at the best spot in the grandstands, as Griseld would go to fight with her veil, a token of his allegiance, and win all the honors. He would certainly treat her as a queen, and would be ready to die for her. Was there only a better match? This fantasy consumed the young woman in the days that followed, and she could only think about approaching the prince. In her eyes, being around him on a regular basis was a benefit she fully intended to put to good use. When one of the servants fell sick, she immediately wanted to seize that fortuitous opportunity. Thus she paid her mentor a visit.
"Bertha, would you happen to have a moment?"
"Of course, Donkey Skin. What is it? You seem pensive."
"I have heard that Isor has a fever and is unable to serve the Lord. Is that true?"
"Absolutely. I even had to find someone to replace her."
"I would like to volunteer to carry out this task."
The head chef raised her eyebrows. "You? Well, I don't really have any objection, but I have trouble understanding the eagerness."
"It is just that I would really like to be able to meet Prince Griseld. I was thinking that if I were to bring his food, I would finally have the opportunity to see him firsthand."
"Very well, I will grant you this wish, furry little animal. You will serve the prince at noon today. However, there is a condition. You will have to listen very carefully to my instructions in order not to commit any blunder."
"Oh, thank you so much. I would not fail to follow your orders."
Overjoyed, Kiana prepared for her first banquet as a retainer. Nobles' meals are very codified. This is why you have to memorize what I'm going to say. The beginning of lunch is always announced by a horn. Guests then place themselves around the table according to their rank, and valets have to provide them with something to wash their hands. Do you feel mentor and employer are interchangeable? No. Mentor and employer are different. Basically, the employer signs your checks. The employer teaches you how to do the job. This will be our first action, understood? Don't forget that you'll have to repeat the operation between each sequence. Why is Bertha our mentor? She just tells us what to do. Well, I mean, yeah, she's teaching us how to do the job.
Sequence?
I'm coming to it. Once you've done that, there will be a prayer of blessing, and a cupbearer is going to taste all the dishes.
Oh yes, the cupbearer is a trustworthy person who verifies that there is no poison in the food, right?
Exactly. Hey, Waffles. The meal is punctuated by several sequences. In other words, series of dishes. Today there will be 4 sequences in total. We usually start with an appetizer, consisting of wine, toasted bread, and morsels. For the second one, I have planned a variety of soups. The third sequence content essentially depends on the day of the week.
Depending on whether it's a fasting day or not. The church imposes to refrain from consuming meat on Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and during Lent.
Mentors like Eddie Murphy in Milan, bosses like the Mongols. Well, technically, the employer would have been the emperor. Like, Mulan's mentor was Eddie Murphy. Her employer was the emperor. The Mongols were the enemy. my boss is my enemy. Fair! On fasting days, we present fish to the monarch. Today is a day with meat, so there will be numerous pieces of roasted meat. The fall sequence will be comprised of desserts, just as sweet as savory. The meal will then end with a sweet spice wine that aids digestion, followed by the grace, the closing prayer. I see. Your role is to bring the dishes from the kitchen to the banquet hall, but also to ensure that the guests can wash their hands between each sequence. Understood?
Yes, madam.
Excited, Kiona observed the other retainers and imitated them as best she could, to be sure that she was behaving properly. A stack of plates in her arms, she traversed the castle very focused so that she would not lose her balance. When she reached the banquet hall, all the guests were already sitting. As she was placing the dishes on the table, she gave the prince, who was figuring prominently, a sidelong look.
I must make sure to serve him next time.
No sooner had she returned to the kitchens than she whispered to Bertha.
Guests serve themselves in the plate that is closest to them, do they not? Which dish is going to be placed in front of the Lord?
By way of a reply, the cook absent-mindedly pointed out. That one.
Perfect.
Wait! Don't take it right away. Each sequence is interspersed with different performances. Jugglers, musicians, dancers, poets, or minstrels. You need to wait until the end of the intermission before sending the rest of the meal. Overflowing with impatience, the young woman waited for the exact moment when she could return to the banquet hall. Minutes seemed interminable until, at last, someone signaled to her that she could go. Without any more hesitation, she rushed into the corridors to be the first one to arrive. She presented his plate to the prince with all the grace she was capable of.
Your soup, my lord.
Yet he did not even look at her.
I hope it will be to your liking.
Right. Worse still, Griselda coldly sent her back with an annoyed hand gesture. The princess could not help feeling a bit disenchanted. What a dick. You can tell a lot about somebody by how they treat the wait staff and and everything, you know? Yeah, you gotta be like, thank you. As she was lowering her eyes, hurt by his disregard, a knight sitting right next to him stopped her. Young lady, could you hold the tablecloth for me? I would like to wipe my mouth clean.
Right away, sir.
Kiana finished her service with a miserable look on her face. Once the haste had settled, the retainers scattered to attend to their business. Only the young woman remained, sitting on a stool, alone in the empty kitchen. Bertha noticed it and did not have the heart to leave her like this. Are you sad, Donkey Skin?
A little, I admit. I was so thrilled to meet Prince Griselda, and he did not even look at me when I spoke to him.
The cook stood next to her protege and patted her on the back to comfort her. It was unfortunately to be expected, girl. Do not forget that he is our lord, the most important person in town. He's used to being served and doesn't take interest in his servants. But you're only a poor little scullery maid in his eyes. To capture his attention, you would have needed to be a princess. If you had the appropriate status for this kind of banquet, you would have been sitting at his table as a guest. You would have been the one who brings the wine and takes back the plates.
Still, I am disappointed. I expected better of our monarch.
You're still young, eh? This crush will pass. You're not the only servant who secretly yearns after Prince Griselda. Just remember that society assigned specific roles to every one of us, and that classes don't mix. Princes marry princesses. Usually ones they're related to.
So you figured it out?
I pay way too much attention to those surrounding me to miss the clues of a budding romance. Don't look so glum, eh? The prince will not look at you, but I'm sure a fine lad with a big heart will notice you. And you'll see that happiness is not necessarily about social climbing, but just finding your place in the world. Bertha kind of thick. Yep. She's matronly. Bertha is matronly. In low spirits, the young Moor let herself be comforted by Bertha, without expressing any objection. Obviously, she could not retort that she was indeed a princess, and that Griselda should have noticed it. That night, Kiana could only grumble on her mattress, looking for 1,000 excuses for her lover's coldness.
Perhaps he was having a bad day? Perhaps he was too focused on what his interlocutor was saying? Perhaps he was tired because of the tournament? One of those reasons most likely put him in a bad mood. But I know he does not usually behave like that. He usually is so charming.
Yeah, when he's interacting with a hot woman. The young woman's... all kinds of fur. I love grumbling on my mattress. One of my 3 favorite things to do on my mattress. And it's not number 3. I love grumbling on Jordan's mattress too. All kinds of fur. All kinds of fur. Allerlero in German. Is a tale told by the Grimm brothers in children's and household tales. It happens to be another variation of Donkey Skin, which combines several elements from Perrault's version and the Turkey Keeper. This time again, the princess flees her father's incestuous urges and is hired in the kitchens of a prince after being found in the forest by hunters. Large celebrations are held in the castle sometime later, and she discreetly attends them, each time dressed with one of her 3 magical garments. She makes a strong impression on the prince as she dances with him, before vanishing again to put her fur coat back. On her return, the cook asks her to prepare a soup for the king, and she takes advantage of that to drop a precious object in the soup. Each night she is summoned to explain where that object comes from, but she says nothing. Seeing how much the prince loves her soup, the cook gracefully lets her assume this responsibility. This little game continues until the last night. The monarch has ordered the dance to last as long as possible, and puts a ring on one of her fingers without her even noticing. Thus, when she is summoned once again to explain the presence of a precious object in the soup, he recognizes the ring and grabs her hand, which makes the fur coat fall. Upon discovering her true appearance, the prince immediately asks her to marry him. Fairy tales do tend to have, they do tend to just overcomplicate things sometimes. The young woman's distress did not stay unpunished for long. Soon after, great festivities were announced. It was said everywhere that the prince was organizing 3 days of ball for which he was inviting the most beautiful women of the kingdom. Hey, Scrapecoat. Widely excited, Kiana intended to do everything she could to sneak in and get even with Griselda. Naturally, the news revived the excitement that had taken hold of the city during the tournament, and the retainers worked even harder to make the most splendid celebration ever. Hey, Kitty Charm. In that climate of restlessness, the young Moor was entrusted with more and more important tasks. That is how, on the day of the first ball, she was tasked with bringing refreshments to Griselda's group, who was coming back from hunting. Although it was still morning, the rays of sunshine were already hitting hard, and his entourage was boiling. Kiana had just returned from pastures when she was entrusted with that task, which puzzled her. Uminiko, I have not. Both delighted and embarrassed, she grasped the heavy tray that was handed to her and hastened through the castle's corridors. The sound of the hunting horn was already resonating under the archways, irrefutable proof that the horsemen were lining up in the courtyard. Let's hear that thing again. Medieval times? Sorta. I mean, it's fairy tales. It's a fairy tale. I'm just having a fun time with this horn. Alright, I'll stop now. Last time.
I must hurry. I must not keep him waiting.
The princess accelerated, distraught at the idea that she could disappoint the prince. She arrived just as men were dismounting.
It is not too late yet.
She immediately put her tray on a barrel and started filling a gold cup with fresh hippocras. Naturally, the lord had to be served first. Therefore, she hurried to bring it to him. Getting ahead of herself, Kiana forgot that the skin she wore was too long to allow that kind of movement, and she stumbled on one of the courtyard's cobblestones. Well, that's not a great start. She fell flat on her face, instantly spilling the sacred beverage. Grisel's squires, who had witnessed the scene, mockingly burst out laughing. Look at this girl who does not even know how to serve a drink. What a piece of work, this servant. Get on her to carry out the simplest tasks with clumsiness. Grazed in her fall, the young woman laboriously recovered. The noble's jeering was wounding her in her princess pride, where it hurt the most, and she had to bite her lips to avoid responding. A silhouette then approached, and, upon raising her eyes, she recognized her beloved. Her face immediately lit up. A man as kind as him could only defend her against those oafs. Yeah, how much you want to bet that he's going to criticize her? She did realize that something was not quite right because of his stern and hard expression, but she did not expect to hear this. Such a fool! And you claim to be your lord's vassal? Are you ever going to stand up? What a piece of work. I like listening to you read. It actually relaxes me. Glad to help, Kitty Charms. Kiana could only mutter, phased.
1,000 apologies, my lord. I will pour you a new drink at once.
And how do you plan to make amends for your foolish act? Wasting your lord's wine is inexcusable, scullery maid. Bitch, I will end you. I will call up in my maid to beat the shit out of you. Griselda's a sassy gay man. Oh, so this is how you obey? I know of a punishment worthy of your incompetence. Translating words into actions, Griselde viciously kicked the young woman who was still on the ground. As she was paralyzed by surprise, unable to defend herself, He copiously vented his anger, not hesitating to spit on her and hit her with his heels, and this even though he had kept his spurs. Kill him. Move this knife the few inches it needs. I knew this Griselda mofo was terrible from the start. Yep. I mean, I kind of had a feeling that he was going to turn out to be a dick. The metal gear was pressed into her chest, forcing a cry of pain out of her as the horsemen were laughing heartily at her misfortune. Fuck the monarchy! Once the prince had finally calmed down, he forced her to hand refreshments out to his whole group, and she had no choice but to comply with shaking hands. After a few minutes, the men walked away, leaving her alone and deeply shocked. Not knowing how to react to what had just happened, Kiana brought back the tray to the kitchen and went to sit down beside a pillar with an empty stare. She could not comprehend, she could not find any meaning to this aberration. How could such a gentle prince abuse her that way? Should he not have whispered to her that it was all right and have reprimanded his horsemen for daring to make fun of her? Yes, he should have. That would have been the classy thing to do. But he's not classy. He's a prince. He's a spoiled, pampered, arrogant, conceited dick. She got microaggression. I mean, she also got macroaggression. Like, yes, there were there were microaggressions there, but there were also macroaggressions. Being stomped is not a microaggression. That's just aggression. Little by little, the smiling image she had of him when they had exchanged gallantries by the lake was fading away, replaced by the face twisted with rage that she had seen leaning over her.
No, this is not possible. I cannot believe this is the same person.
Yeah, because he was trying to get in your pants before. He was trying to get into your dresses before.
The real Griselda would have never done anything to hurt me. He swore eternal love to me.
Kiana used all her strength to hold the tears that were trying to slip out of her aching eyes. She should not be showing such a vulnerable part of herself, not now. Suddenly, a very real voice interrupted her lamentations. Donkey skin? The young woman jumped upon discovering her benefactress at her side.
Bertha, what are you doing here?
I saw you earlier. You didn't look so good. I tried to call you, but you didn't reply, so I got worried. Are you alright? Kiana hesitated. She very much wanted to tell Bertha about her misfortunes to find some comfort in her, but the humiliation was still too unfading, too crushing. All she desired at that instant was to forget, to move on. She was not ready to swallow the terrible truth hidden behind the palace's adornments, yet.
Nothing too serious. I am just a bit tired. I feel weak and feverish. Perhaps am I simply sick?
If you're coming down with something, you absolutely should rest. Exceptionally, you're allowed to leave early, so eat and go to sleep.
Thank you so much, Bertha.
Don't mention it. Regain your strength and quickly get better. The princess was thus reported sick and was allowed to return to her room, which was quite convenient. Once she was sure that she was alone, she exclaimed,
I swear on my own life that I will eventually make Lord Griselda understand what my true value is. He did not recognize me earlier, for I was disguised as a servant, but I am going to show him who I really am.
She was no longer letting depression overwhelm her. She was going to make the most of this opportunity to intrude on the ball. That night, the young woman prepared herself by washing her face, wiping her body, and doing her hair so that she would look better. Then she slipped in a hallway that was not frequently occupied and hit the ground with the hazel rod she still had in her possession. And actually, this seems like a good place to end the episode right before we get into the balls. That was weird phrasing, but anyway. Like I said, this seems like a good place to end the episode. So next week, balls! Next week, we do balls. We do the balls. What did I even just say? Yeah, I don't know. But yes, next week we will get to the balls and have a good time with the balls. And then tomorrow's episode of Final Fantasy, I get the airship. So new Final Fantasy episode tomorrow with the airship. Woo! Who doesn't love the airship? Will I stream tomorrow? I showered today, so I will probably stream tomorrow. But for now, thanks for watching. And good night, everybody.